Okay, everybody. I'll give you 3 guesses where we're going. The first 2 don't count. We're going to see the new Halloween. Hey, baby. After so much of a gap in years, we're finally back to see a new Halloween movie. A real Halloween movie, not the Rob Zombie Halloween movies.
It's called Outrageous. How good does it look? Peanut butter and caramel and dozens of Reese's Pieces covered in chocolate, and what would you call it? What?
Welcome to the Fogged Up Lens.
Yep.
1 hour and like 49 minutes later, we just saw Halloween. Not the 78 Halloween or Rob Zombie Halloween, the 2018 Halloween. We're going to digest and we're going to talk about it. Today's pre-movie discussion meal is brought to you by Haddonfield Blood Red Salsa and Chips at Chili's. Talk to me. Talk to me! Talk to me! Look at me!
Stay.
And that is basically how Halloween 2018 starts. 2018 Halloween is directed by David Gordon Green and written by Green, Jeff Fradley, and Danny McBride. Yes, that Danny McBride.
That's what I was going to say, that Danny McBride. I know who he is.
This movie, for those that are not in the know, is a direct sequel to the original Halloween from 1978. So everything that you've seen Halloween based, from Halloween 2 forward, including Busta Rhymes,
didn't happen,
and Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, never happened. This movie happens directly after Halloween 1978, also called Halloween 2018. So we're just going to call everything Halloween from now on.
40 years later.
Which, by the way, 40 years later, Mary makes a good point. Just to set the right tone of this, that means that in this movie, Michael Myers is the ripe young age of 61 years old.
Yes.
61.
Wait, no, 40. He was like 11.
He was 6 in 1963.
He was 6.
We're going to see quick maths.
I know. Wait. So when was his sister killed? In 78?
Yeah, he was...
He's 55.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, his sister was killed in 1963 when he was 6 years old.
Oh, just
this is what I believe the audience...
Okay.
So, by making a new Halloween movie, even though it is 40 years later, this is what I believe the production company is hoping for. That most people are going to sit like Mary and say, wait a second. So it is plausible that somebody at 61 years old could do things, although...
Have you seen those buff old people?
Although it has been said that Michael Myers, basically when they set the tone of the movie, has sat in the same mental institution basically for the last 40 years. So considering that from the point that he was 6 years old to now this time, not really doing anything as far as exercise or lifting weights or anything like that, and he is ruled to be the boogeyman, but not supernatural, because those things went out the way of the other sequels. You have a 61-year-old man that is most likely suffering from at least some type of atrophy that is able to basically move like the wind. He's like a cat in this movie.
Well, they said that they have exercise, they have healthy food, and all of that stuff.
But when you see the beginning of the movie with the scene that we were just parodying before with Jess, he is basically in a courtyard, standing by himself, which is very odd, very, very odd scene. But in any event, we're going to come right back to that court scene, and this is going to be no spoilers, by the way.
Excuse me.
Anything that we talk about that would be scene-wise is stuff that you would have seen in trailers and commercials today. But overall, before we get into any of that, because I know folks are going to jump down our throats and say we should just get to the point, I did really enjoy the movie. Out of 5, I would say it's 4 out of 5, or I liked it. Borderline would have said I loved it, but there's something to talk about a little bit later, without any spoiler detail that kind of prohibits me from saying I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
and you?
I'm the same. There's a little bit of that was...
On the Mary scale?
4, 4.5.
And you? A 4? Okay. So going back to the courtyard scene, which is how the movie opens up, we have a couple of folks that are interested in wanting to do a documentary. This is where, when I was just driving home, we took 2 cars to the movies, so I had a moment to think about things. They're doing a documentary, but they basically show up with a couple of questionable things, and this is all in the trailer, by the way. One is they're recording everything with basically a Zoom microphone, which is something that most podcasters use, which later on in the scene they explain they're doing a podcast, which is weird because they also show up with permission from the DA with the mask. So the mask...
How do you show the mask on a podcast?
It's for shock and for show, but the person is literally holding up the Zoom recorder. It's a very bizarre scene to set the movie, and it kind of at that point, you get a title sequence, and then we roll into the movie. So you kind of just you hit like the reset button at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But I think it conveyed in the beginning of the movie, where things were gonna go. The other folks that were around Michael, because you see a whole cast of characters that were so much more upset by seeing the mask than Michael himself. And this is, again, in the trailer, but that also sets the tone, because the rest of the movie you never hear from any of these guys ever again. And the movie moves along very, very fast. It's meant to be a fun popcorn movie. Yeah. With a lot of casualties. There's a lot of casualties. There's a lot of gore. And there's a lot of character building, but the characters are all throwaway for the most part.
Yeah, there's only
Michael Myers.
There's only a couple.
Yeah.
Or a few.
I mean, literally every character is basically throwaway.
Except for a few.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So, and that's probably a good thing, because, again, I mean, there's so much carnage in this movie. So much.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I was trying to think how many people. It's greater than 15 in the movie. I mean, and they make it out like 6 in the original movie, where it's devastating.
Yeah.
Because it was a different time, man.
And Michael is there's another weird thing that makes me pause for a minute when you start to really just get away from the movie, because I was in love with it when I walked out. But so Michael is very, very non-discriminatory about who he's gonna kill. I mean, he basically kills everybody and anybody.
Anyway,
which, I think if you're storytelling and you're saying, because on one hand, the whole story from Jamie Lee Curtis's perspective of Laurie Strode is, someday Michael Myers is going to show up at my doorstep again, and I'm going to spend my entire life preparing. And this is very, very much Terminator 2, Linda Hamilton.
Exactly.
It's exactly what I had kind of envisioned when the trailers first started coming out and the story started coming out. Mm-hmm. If you're familiar with Terminator 2, the only thing is, it's not like this is a happy Michael Myers that's coming to partner up. He very, very much is looking to kill everybody, which negates the story that he's back in Haddonfield to end up with Laurie, which we spend, an hour plus of the movie where it's really... I got a spider on my arm. He's really just gleefully killing everybody. It's really fun, the variety of kills, and it harkens back to, like, if you remember in Halloween 1, when he kills people and he kind of hangs them up and he kind of makes it seem like a trick-or-treat type situation for Laurie to stumble upon. But that's what your eyes do. That's basically what Jess's eyes were doing the entire movie. She was on the edge of her seat. But the movie straddles both. This is an indiscriminate killer that's gonna kill anybody and anything in his path, but then also wants to focus on Laurie, yeah.
Well, he's on his way.
Kind of like when it's convenient for the script, I think.
Yeah, he kind of like goes a little fun haywire for a bit, and then he's like, "Hey, wait a second, what was I doing?" Yeah, that's really cool. Oh.
Whoa, his eyes are going crazy. So this movie is basically, the premise is set up is in, the thrill is in the chase, and it's in the chase of Michael in pursuit of reliving Halloween, and it's the pursuit of Michael from Laurie, I believe.
Yeah.
So a couple other questionable things kind of pop up. Once again, I mean, similar to some of the other sequels that are now negated, Michael has like this kind of superhuman strength. That's what I mean. Like he's in a courtyard, basically, just stands in one space, and that's kind of what they allude to in the movie.
All right.
So I started saying something, and we had to stop because Mary was just like, the reason why he's chasing after her is because it's her sister. You have to keep in mind that at this point in the movies, because Halloween 2 no longer exists, Laurie Strode has no relationship to Michael Myers whatsoever. It's not a sister. That they throw this like scene in there to say, hey, by the way, I heard that it was, his brother, he was trying to kill his sister or whatever, and they're like, no, that's just like an urban legend.
Yeah, that's what they said, just to make it easier.
Exactly. Yeah. So Jess got that.
I pay attention.
So overall, like I said, very, very fun movie to see. So many different types of kills. Mm-hmm. I thought that was great.
A couple of them were really cool.
Yeah, some innovative stuff.
Some kind of gross.
Yeah.
That is true. So there is a lot of gore in this movie. This movie is a hard R. And the one thing that we said while we were eating our wonderful Chili's
food.
tortilla chips, while this is a hard R, it's because of the kills and the gore. And I'm wearing this Joe Bob Briggs shirt, one of my heroes in movie history and horror history. But when you watch like a Joe Bob Briggs thing, you always used to see like how many, like the casualty totals and how many different types of kills. But you also saw how many boobs.
How many naked scenes did you see?
And in this movie, the only boobs that you see are a flashback, ironically, to Judith Myers from the original movie. Mm-hmm. There's nothing else in this movie that, except for just graphic killing and the other thing. I will say this. There's one scene in this movie that, let's say for an hour and a half of this movie, I thought it was the greatest movie that I had seen in a long time. I was over the moon in love with things, and then there's one scene that changes everything. That you're just like, this doesn't, it shouldn't exist.
Doesn't compute.
What?
And for so many different people, for so many different people to be involved with the movie, between the direction and production and everything, it totally took me out of the movie at that point, until it brings me back in.
Yeah.
So it was just incredibly stupid.
And it was like some throwbacks, which we really loved.
Yeah, there's a lot of good nods back to other movies, to other sequels that no longer exist in the timeline.
Well, there was one from the original.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part.
Really great scene towards the end of the movie where people literally were cheering in the movie theater.
Yeah.
So, overall, there's a lot of yammering from us. What was your favorite part? Do you have anything favorite?
Well, that throwback scene. And one of the kills was my favorite, next to the police car on the ground.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, something really gory.
Really good.
And Jess, favorite or anything particular that you really liked?
Not really.
I will say the entire movie, and the more that we got into the movie, especially towards when you're working towards like the third act, Jess, we went to Dolby Cinema, by the way, and with the big plush seats that you're like reclining in and everything. And Jess was like, she was on the couch, like in a ball, with her knees up, and like this.
She was like this.
Like looking like I can't look.
She was like that, yeah. I was like, oh my God.
It was hysterical.
He actually tapped on my shoulder and said, look at Jess. And I was like, oh my God.
So,
it's a lot of suspense.
Yes. The parting thought, this certainly leaves the window open to a sequel. And I know when they were developing this initially, they talked about a trilogy,
Part 3, Part 2.
but not with, perhaps not with Jamie Lee Curtis coming back for the other movies, which to me is a disappointment.
Yeah, you can't have Halloween without her.
Yeah, I would be hopeful that they don't do any further movies at this point, because you really get to the point, and I'm not trying to do ageism here or anything, but I'm just thinking, based off of like all of the damage that, whether it was the first movie or the, stuff that happens, collateral damage in this movie, I would hope that they don't continue to bring him back.
It would be nice to have an ending.
Yeah, we got an ending in this movie.
Well, it would be nice if we had an ending.
So, in any event, that was Halloween. That was, without a doubt, the movie that we were waiting to see, at least, imminently. So,
oh yeah,
I'll probably go back to see it again from my AMC Stubs program, which allows you 3 movies a week in any format. So, it was good to watch. I liked it. We saw a trailer for Happy Death Day 2 before the movie started too, which was really good, but it seems like really retread of the original movie. So on that note, Cat threw up off camera while we were trying to finish that.
Yeah.
This is the review that doesn't want to happen. In any event, by the way, if you wear a Michael Myers mask to the Halloween movie, apparently you'll be the only person wearing that mask.
Unless you get a group of people with you to do it.
So, that was an eye-opener. I figured everybody was like rah-rah waiting to go into the...
Rah-rah. Yeah, everybody's going...
just me.
Just you.
This is like the Star Wars of horror movies for me.
Yeah.
So...
Can you insert the clip again at the end?
So, in any event, we're going to sign off. Thanks a lot for watching. Thank you very much for all of your likes and your comments and your subscriptions. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
See you guys.
Bye.